Good morning, viewer. Welcome to our first activity. The breaking news. Yes, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has told Chinese President Xi Jinping that maintaining peace and tranquility in border areas and respecting the line of actual control are essential for the normalization of the bilateral relations. He conveyed India's stand during a conversation with Xi on the sidelines of BRICS summit. On the sidelines of the BRICS summit, the Prime Minister had interactions with other BRICS leaders. In a conversation with President Xi Jinping of China, the Prime Minister highlighted India's concerns on unresolved issues along the LAC in the western sector of the Indian-China border areas. Foreign Secretary Binay Quattro said at a media briefing on Thursday. The Foreign Secretary said both the leaders agreed to direct their relevant officials to intensify efforts to expeditious disengagement and de-escalation. That means the Prime Minister, underlined that maintenance of peace and tranquility in the border areas and observing and respecting the LAC are essential for the normalization of the India-China relationships. He said, in this regard, two leaders agreed to direct their relevant officials to intensify efforts at expeditious disengagement and de-escalation. Quattro added the government refers to the Eastern Ladakh region as Western sector. However, the Foreign Secretary refused to question whether PM Modi invited Xi for the upcoming G20 summit New Delhi or not. It is understood that there was no structured bilateral meeting between Modi and Xi. During Thursday's event, Modi and Xi were observed engaging in short conversation while walking towards the podium for a press conference. Footage aired by South Africa's public broadcaster SABC depicted the two leaders sharing another brief exchange and shaking hands after the press conference concluded. It was their first interaction in public after their brief encounter on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Bali in November last year. The two leaders met briefly at a normal dinner hosted by Indonesian President Joko Widodo on November 16. The ties between India and China came under severe strain following the Eastern Ladakh border row that began in May 2020. The Indian and Chinese troops are locked in an over 3-day standoff in certain friction points in Eastern Ladakh, even as the two sides completed disengagement from several areas following extensive diplomatic and military talks. India has been consistently maintaining their peace and tranquility along the LAC were key for normalization of overall ties. India and China held the 19th round of Corps commander level talks on August 13 and 14 with a focus on resolving pending issues at the standoff areas of Depsang and Demchok in Eastern Ladakh. A joint statement described the talks as positive, constructive and in-depth, and that both sides agreed to resolve the remaining issues in an expeditious manner. Beyond the report.